Hello, my name is Eric Wright, creator of GuitarGaze and author of a numerical and visuospatial method for learning the guitar. Today I'm going to do a quick run through of the GuitarGaze full version platform as a guitar learning tool that allows you to play into your computer and it'll show you the note you're playing on the fretboard. You can choose from 16 plus different scales or build a custom scale and assign custom colors to each note in the scale and make your own layout. You can export tabs and files that you've created to friends or to your instructor, or your instructor can send a new tab or a lesson to you. And there's also custom tuning arrangements and a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to show you the GuitarGaze platform, and this is the platform or the tool that I'm going to use in a introductory guitar learning series. So this is what I'll be showing on screen and teaching people with. It's part of a YouTube course that I'm offering with GuitarGaze, maybe 10 to 20 lessons, somewhere in there. The next video I make after this is going to be lesson 1, which is an introduction to standard tuning on the guitar, what the guitar is, and the advantages and disadvantages of standard tuning and other tuning arrangements like perfect fourths tuning or isomorphic tuning, which is my preferred tuning, and really the backbone of the book that I wrote that accompanies the full version of GuitarGaze. So here is the full version of GuitarGaze, and you can see I've currently got the root note selected as A and the scale is Spanish Gypsy. You'll notice the fretboard is showing numbers. A couple other things before I get into this. The far left here, this is the nut of your guitar right there. So this is the 0th fret right here. This is the 1st fret. So that number 1 right here, this is where you're at. Everything here is behind the nut. And then you have, the rest of the frets going up the fretboard. The low row here is the low E string. It's a pretty common way to orient this for learning tools online. So one of the first things I want to show you that you get with the GuitarGaze full version is play along listen mode. So this play along mic here, you can control the sensitivity of the microphone on your computer, and you go up to the top and you press listen and you allow it to use your microphone. Now what it's doing is it's listening to everything I'm playing. And if you don't like the fact that it's showing numbers instead of notes right now, I'll have it display notes. So these are the notes that are in the Spanish Gypsy scale in the key of A. And since I have it right in front of me, I can just look at it and play, and I know that what I'm playing is going to be in the scale, and it'll show you if you're, it'll highlight a note that's outside of the scale if you play the wrong one, and it makes it a lot easier to keep track of where you're at. Pretty cool. This is probably less useful for more advanced guitar players because they're flying so fast that they're not going to be able to, they're going to be too fast for the microphone to really be able to pick it up. But people who are just getting into guitar, probably for your first year of guitar playing or so, this is tremendously helpful for learning, and it's better to learn slow than to try to learn fast. I mean, it's better to learn to play something slow than to try to learn to play something fast right away. So you get the foundation down by playing it slow, and this can be really useful for that. So as I said, you've got any number of scales you can choose from, and in any key that you want. You can change the color layout, you can do chord overlays. I guess a good one to do, let's just do C major. Everybody loves C major, especially if you're a pianist. So here's the C major scale. You can do no chord overlays, but if I wanted to add a major chord overlay or a major 13th chord overlay, you can do all of that. There are about 40 plus different chords in here, and they're color coded based on the degree to which they fall within the current scale that you've selected. So you'll notice all of these green chords here, these are diatonic chords that fall purely within the C major scale. And if I change this to a pentatonic minor scale, those colors all change because the diatonic chords are different, and the near diatonic and non-diatonic chords are different as well because they just align with the scale differently. Now there's a tuning option here. You can choose between standard tuning. As I mentioned, you can choose between that or isomorphic, drop D, dadgad, open G. You can do custom tuning. You can, if you got a 7-string guitar, you can do 7. If you play bass, you got 5 or 4 strings, you can drop that down. So now we got 4 strings. This is also really cool for learning guitar because you can get overwhelmed by trying to think about and stare at 6 strings. So if you wanted to just, drop it down to 3 or 2 strings and just limit your window of thought and viewing on the guitar and really focus on string to string relationship, the two strings adjacent to each other or 3 strings adjacent to each other, and practice trying to think about those 2 or 3 strings at the same time. This is a great tool for that, and the functions don't change at all. You can change the scale and color overlays and chord overlays, and it'll show you whatever it is that you want to see. You can get a steady root note drone going if you want to hear the root note in a scale, or if you're trying to dial into a particular key, you can just have that running in the background and play along with it. You can get a better feel for how the notes actually feel in harmony with that, how the different chords feel relative to the root note. You can also do a steady chord drone. You can select a chord and let that play continuously, and it will, it'll help guide you for improvisation if you're wanting to figure out how to do a scale run or some sort of riff over top of a chord, and then during the chord progression it would move to a different chord, and you could then get a drone going for that chord and practice along with it as well. So you can really break things down step by step with this. I'll go back to C major, I guess, and just get a steady root note drone going. So here you can hear C playing, and then if I click the C major scale or chord and then press that, now we have the C major chord playing as a drone. So I can listen to that and play the guitar along with it. I'll just stare at the fretboard here. Let me get my 6 strings back because that's what I'm used to. Now that that's playing, I can you get a better feel for how that sounds with the root note and with the chord of your choosing. You can play a metronome if you want to get a metronome going. They're a little dinky, still working on that. You can get some shuffle. If you want to do some improvising and have a rhythm to play along with, or a timekeeper to play along with. You can do interval practice. So if you're thinking about things numerically on the guitar like I do, you can set your interval that you want and start practice, and you can just click any note you want. Right now we're practicing an interval of 4 semitones or 4 half steps. So if I click G, that would be my next move, and if it highlights green, it's going to tell you that you selected the right note. So now I can either go up 4 that way or that way, and you can set it to 7, you can set it to 15, whatever you want to practice to get better with thinking of things in terms of intervals, which is super powerful for getting fluent in scales and differences between scales. You can save your setup, you'll name it. Let's say, like, I would name this maybe C major high contrast mono with major chord overlay. Obviously I wouldn't name it that long, but you could put all those different things in shorthand in your name and save it, and then you don't have to constantly redo everything, but it's really quick and easy to get things set up. You can also print this or save it as a PDF, export it as a picture if you want to have this to, you're going on a road trip, you want to print it off and you want to practice the scale, you can have that as a visual tool in front of you. Last but not least, there is a tab builder tool in this. So you click expand, and I've already made one before the video, but what this does is you click fretboard tab builder on, and this is where your your selected time step is, and every note that you click on the fretboard gets added to your tab. So if you turn that off and you wanted to come up with a sound like that, then you would be able to add that onto your tab or just create a new tab. This is one that I made. I just wanted to show you the capability, then I'll clear it out and we can build a tab on here real quick. But you can control the tempo. If you want to get rid of everything, then you can simply click and drag to highlight and delete all that out. So I just got rid of all of that. And you're probably thinking, wow, why did you just get rid of all that? That looked like a lot of time that you spent on that. Well, I have already downloaded that tab, so I can just load that file back in. And you can also share those files with friends if they also have the GuitarGaze full version. And what that does, it doesn't just share the note data, it shares the color layout, it shares the scale overlay, it shares the number of strings, the fretboard sizing, and every setting that you have on here gets passed along to your friend or guitar teacher whenever you export or download the tabs that you create. So as I said here, I just wanted to turn the fretboard tab builder on just to show you. So that added all of that in there. You can click and drag to move those around if you want. You can extend each note if you want it to last longer. You can also add notes just by clicking. Now we'll go back to the beginning and just play the garbage that I just put in there. So this is a really quick, easy way to build tabs. And then, as I said, you can either save this locally here, or you can download the tab. And if you download the tab, you can just put that in a folder, open it up anytime you want. It'll load the tab back in. It'll preserve all of your settings that you had for it, and you can share it with somebody if you're collaborating with them on making a song, writing music, whatever. Or like I said, you're an instructor and you've got a student and you want to send them some homework to do, then they can do this with a visual tool as well. So that is pretty much everything you can do with the GuitarGaze full version right now. Like I said, this is something I'm working on, and I'll continue to add features as I get feedback from more people and hear what they want and what they don't like. And this is going to be a living, breathing thing that continuously gets better and better. And it's what I'm going to be using in the lessons that I'm going to be putting out there for introductory guitar. Once again, my name's Eric Wright, creator of GuitarGaze and author of a numerical and visuospatial method for learning guitar. My next video is going to be lesson number 1. Hope to see you there. Thank you very much.